Then wouldn't I have to make a lot? Because if I'm going to sell it.
Yeah, but then you can sell it. But then you have the money to keep making it.
You guys seem like you don't want candy. Because you just keep talking off task. And just, if we have time, we'll do candy. All right, so you have through today, like all of today, like till I get to work tomorrow, to do the work that was due November 6th. Please get it done. I don't like posting missings for grades. That's not cool. I'd much rather post a check minus. Like, which means at least do it one time. Now, you can't do it and get a 0. I still count that as a missing. But if your grades are just below the 83%, that's just a check minus. But if you just haven't done it, that tells you didn't make any time to do it. And using your at-home days needs to happen, right? You guys need to use your at-home days. So those of you who are at home and watching the video, hopefully you're using your at-home days to get that work done. I will show you in a second why your Unit 2 tests aren't graded yet. New homework on Wednesday. The video examples do count. So that's what I was going to say is before we get to the end of the unit and everything, all the videos that I've assigned, those count. I have some kids bringing me their Khan Academy, and I look at their work log, and all the videos still say start. And I'm like, dudes, that's like 7 assignments that just watch them. Like, and you can just click play and let it go, but I would say actually watch it, and you'll get some benefit from it. This is why your quiz 2s or whatever aren't graded. Last night was a really nice night, and the kids in the last class wanted to argue. I don't know why. So, no, here's why.
No, I know why, because it's been so nice that you put them up. Hey, we put them early to put them off.
Here's the thing kids don't realize, and I didn't realize either. When you walk on shingles, like on your roof, it flexes. When the shingles are cold, they crack. So when you climb up on your roof when it's like freezing cold outside, it's bad for your roof. So if you have to do anything up on a roof, you should try to do it when the weather's warm. And the shingles are stickier, like they have more grip when they're warm. When they're cold, they get slicker. So it's more dangerous. So I did that last night instead of grading your tests. Sorry, I don't want to fall off a roof. So I'll grade your tests this weekend. I'll give them to you Monday. Yes?
I mean, we put our Christmas lights up on Sunday.
Good. Yeah.
Personally, just my family's opinion, but we don't we put our Christmas lights up, but we don't turn ours on until after Thanksgiving because we are one of those houses who don't believe Christmas doesn't start until after Thanksgiving.
I mean, I've got some people online telling me I need to go ahead and turn them on because it's 2020 and we need as much joy as possible, but whatever.
I mean, ours are on. Ours are on. Well, we took ours down, like, in February this year.
Yeah, I take mine down. Like, whenever there's a nice day, they come down after Christmas. But all right, so review of what we talked about last week, or Monday, is that slope is delta y over delta x, which I want to make sure that we actually talked about being rise over run. So if we never talked about rise over run, please go ahead and put that in your notes. Sorry, it gets tough because I teach blue versus green and I can't remember what I say to what people. So then, what we're going to talk about now, though, is kind of like a manipulation of that called the slope formula. So the slope formula starts with rise over run. But when we talk about delta y over delta x, now rise isn't always up. Run is pretty much always left to right, but rise sometimes is going down. So what we did mathematically is we said, okay, let's create like a way that we can always solve this. So the slope formula is going to work when we have 2 points, and we can call the points x1, y1, x2, y2. So essentially we have point 1 and point 2. So we have like our starting point and our ending point. Now the actual formula is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. But here's the funny thing. that Akshaya and I actually got not like an argument, but she thought it had to be a certain way, and I actually blew her mind a little bit with no, it doesn't. You could actually do y1 minus y2. If on bottom, you do x1 minus x2. So the order of your subtraction doesn't actually really matter as long as you do it the same. So I like to color code and say like, okay, I'm going to do blue minus pink, right? Something like that where like I know blue would have to be like together or together, and pink has to be together or together. Like it's either the first ones or the second ones. They have to be together. And this, the switching of the order works the same way that absolute value does. Like the absolute value of 8 minus 3 is the same as absolute value of 3 minus 8. It's sort of like because of absolute value that this works. We're going to look at a couple examples to justify this and kind of like reinforce it. So if we were asked, and on your paper all I need you to write is the 2 points, to figure out the slope actually, we should probably have a question mark, from 1, 0 to 3, 8. Now, when the math isn't that tough, like we have all positive numbers here, we can ignore the formula. You guys are probably like, wait, what? You just taught us the formula, but now you're going to tell us to ignore it? Yeah. So if we have quote unquote nice numbers, these are all positive, right? Positive numbers are normally nice. I'm just going to see, can I figure this out just using my brain? Can I big brain this? So my delta y, I talked about this on yesterday, but I think I forgot to tell you guys. If you're looking at delta y, delta x like this, always put the delta y on top because it goes on top down here in the fraction. So our delta y to go from 0 up to 8 is what? 8, right? So our numerator would be 8. Like it's a trick question. And our delta x, I'll use Scrooge's saying that it's too early for Christmas. You made me use Christmas colors. So 8 over 2, well, that can reduce to 4 over 1, or really just 4. Right, so our slope is 4. Now wait, if we want to apply the formula though, because we want to apply it on the easy way so we know how to do it when it gets to the hard way. If we were applying the formula, remember first point, second point. So we're going to do second point. So actually I'm going to write out y2 minus y1, x2 minus x1. Second point's y is 8. First point's y is 0. Second point's x is 3. First point's x is 1. 8 minus 0, 8. 3 minus 1, 2. Comes out to be the same. But the only reason I didn't really need to apply the formula is these numbers were nice. The subtraction was easy. I know that's a bad word, but yeah, it kind of was here compared to the ones we're going to see in a moment. So I want you on your own. We're going to start to do more of this where I challenge you to try it on your own and take a risk and tell me what you think or tell me what you're getting stuck on. Try it with this. If our first point is -1, -7, if I was you, I would draw a squiggly line to keep our problems separate from each other. I'm going to wait. Like, I'm going to write a little bit down, but then I'm going to write off of the screen so you can't see what I'm doing while you guys work. Now, for any of you who are tempted to say, well, I can just draw a graph. Yes, still, you could, because these are, like, integers. They're not crazy decimals or crazy fractions. But, guys, we're getting ready for when you can't just draw a graph. So please don't draw an XY axes and, like, plot these points. Please don't do that. That's not what we're practicing. We're practicing doing the math. Always, if you can. Now, actually, for slope, it won't change whether you're right or wrong. It just changes on how hard it is to actually graph the line. Beware the negative. Beware the negative. Negatives are scary. I can't tell what my mask smells like. It's like sort of like coffee, but my lunch was edamame and steak. So now it's like this weird, like coffee and, well, you guys know what like edamame is, right? Like green beans, I think. In a way, it's like, well, not green. They're kind of like lima beans, but they're not.
I know what it is, but
I forget what they actually are. They're something. Are they a pea? They might be soy. I mean, I don't care, but so maybe this is why Charlie and I were talking earlier, and she's like, well, now that you're my math teacher, I actually like math. And I was like, I don't know if that's a good thing. Because I think it might just be that because my brain is sort of like ADD, like you guys, you're like, oh yeah, we like Mr. Hudson. And what that means is I'm not a very good teacher.
well, no, we had a teacher last year that was a really good teacher, but I mean, she was all over the place. I mean, we got to, in the middle of class, we got to hear about oven fires and salt.
Hey man, that's real stuff. Audrey? I can't hear you. Hey, quiet down. I can't hear Audrey. Stop talking. Never diagnosed, but back when I was a kid, they didn't really test for that sort of thing. Yeah, see, I kind of feel more like I would be on the H side of things because I am always changing tasks. I'm like doing this, doing that. Like, I will unload half the dishwasher and then walk away and do something else, and my wife will come over and be like, what's going on here? Are you doing this or not? And I was like, I was 10 minutes ago, but now I'm cleaning the basement. And she's like, what? Yeah, so and then you'll find 8 4-leaf clovers in a row, probably.
Yeah.
So if I slide this up and show the math, here's the danger. Minus a negative actually creates addition. So if we do it like this, it becomes 16 over 4, which actually reduces out to be 4 as well. Now, if I flip this around and call this x1, y1, x2, y2, and I do the subtraction in the other order, check it. -7 minus 9. -1 minus 3 ends up being -16 over -4. What's a negative divided by a negative? Positive. It's the same exact thing. So guys, do not stress about which point is x1, y1, which point's x2, y2. It doesn't matter as long as you do the subtraction in the same order. So 1 point, here's the easy, I need a pencil. Come on, Hudson, where are your pencils? 1 point should be stacked. So this should be one of your points with x on bottom, y on top. And this should be one of your points with x on bottom, y on top. Because that's what you want to check for. Okay? Do this one actually on your own. Actually. Because I gave you like a minute or two, but I'm going to walk, so I actually give more time this time. And we started talking. First thing I always do is write down both points, guys. Please do not start by trying to do the math. Start by writing down the points. Yeah, don't fall into the temptation of just graphing it. Because pretty soon we'll be given mixed numbers and decimal numbers and things that we have to do the math. Now, you can still do the method with like an arrow to say what's delta y and an arrow to say what's delta x. If that works for you, that works. You just have to make sure you don't make any mistakes. Guys, the reason math gets harder as you get older is there's more choices. And like, they're all, well, not all always, but most of the time, like, you've got multiple correct options. Life is hard when there are multiple choices that will work. When there's only one choice that will work, it's easy. Choose that choice. But if there's multiple options that will work, your brain starts kind of like, which is best? What do I don't want to choose wrong. Like, back away from that cliff of anxiety and just say, just try it. I can always go backwards, and it's just math, right? You're not building a bridge yet. Someday, you guys might be building bridges. Logan, I would come watch you practice law.
It depends on what type of lawyer you want to be.
And then it comes to what comes in most of the time.
But it does depend on what type of lawyer you want to be. If
He
you
will
want
be
to
on
put someone in
he'll be
court,
like a lawyer, but he won't be
that-
defending us.
I'm only going to defend against men.
All right, so showing multiple ways to solve this. If I want to do just the, like, what I call kind of the arrow method, here's what's dangerous. From 8 to -4. Remember, I'm looking at my y's on my top. My y's. From 8 to -4 is how far?
-12.
This is where it's dangerous. That's -12. From -1 to 3. +4. Right? That's why this way is it's tricky because it's full of opportunities to make mistakes. Right? If I do the y2, y1, x2, or x2, x1, y2, right? -4 minus y1, 8, over x2, 3, minus -1, and we'll get -12 over 4. Same thing. Just doing what I did here is chock full of opportunities for a mistake. So what's our slope actually here? Yeah, -3 in the simplified form. You do not have to keep it in a fraction, because remember, this would be -3 over 1. And we really would like our slope to be over 1, because as we said yesterday, sorry, I don't know if we said this with your class, slope, another way we can talk about slope is the change in y when x goes up by 1. So when we talk about our slope as a fraction, that fraction is literally the change in y when x goes by 1. So we'll talk about that when we get an answer that's actually a fraction, because this is an integer, right? Negative 3 does not need the one on bottom. Negative 3 is an integer. Did anyone not get negative 3 and want me to solve this again or ask me to come check your solution? And guys, I know I'm asking you to be bold here, and I almost forgot to say this. I want to make sure that I thank all of my classes, like all of you guys. You guys are doing awesome at like dealing with school being unlike it's ever been. Normally, when you would walk into my class, I'd hand you a worksheet every single day, and like it would have the problems like I have up on the board. It would have those on the worksheet and stuff like that. But I'm planning lessons every night. Like I'm planning what we're doing the next day based off what I see in Khan Academy and how far we are and what people are struggling on. So I don't have the time to do that, and I don't want you to have a bajillion handouts. So I appreciate that when I ask you to write stuff down, you're writing stuff down. Those of you that doodle during class, I appreciate that you come back and forth. You doodle, but then you take my notes. And you doodle, and like, I don't think anyone's totally off task. And maybe I'm wrong, and maybe you're just really sneaky. But I think everyone's doing a really good job, so thank you guys. Logan?
Did I mess up? I somehow got 12 divided by -4.
No, you did the subtraction in the other order. So if, I'm going to write it in the other color, if I flip my order around, and I start here and do 8 minus -4.
That's what I thought, because can't
Yeah, you can do it in the other order.
symbol just would go in front of the fraction.
Yeah.
It wouldn't go necessary. It's the same thing.
You're right.
Okay.
Yep, you're right. So then if I have 8 first for my y, I got to use -1 first for the x.
That's exactly what I did.
And that's how you got 12 over -4. But then when we simplify this, remember the negative just goes in front. And it's just -3. Same thing.
Okay.
So that slope is going down, right? That line would be going down. One more of these and we're ready to move on. -1, 8, and 3, -4. Oh wait, we just did that. Never mind. We're going. Are we good? We feeling all right with this? Last chance. Speak now or speak later. I mean, it's not forever hold your peace at Phoenix though. It's speak now or speak later.
True.
It's like tell me that you want help now, or I will tell you that you want help later. All right, squiggly line. Bro, do you know me well enough to at this point know that I don't want people to shoot their hand up and just say, I got the answer? What's the P word that I say is way more important than the answer? Close. Poopy? Dewan? I broke Dewan, guys. I seriously, I don't know. Maybe that's why he's not here today. Maybe he's like, I can't come to math class. I don't know how Poopy broke Dewan. No.
I'm not sure either, but it happened.
Process.
Yeah.
The process is more important than the answer. So, Sebastian, can you tell me the process of what we want to do here after you give all of us a moment to write this down? So please write down y plus 5 is equal to... Sebastian, was this one of your homework problems, or can you just, like, spot it really quickly? I knew I picked one of the homework problems. I hope I didn't pick all of
I'll
them.
just remember this and then.
I don't care.
Okay.
I mean, if you have it written down and you know what you're doing, I don't care.
Type it in.
All right, Sebastian, can you walk us through it? Wait. You said you do the parentheses. What do you mean you do the parentheses? Ah, okay. So when you said do the parentheses, I thought you meant add these. So actually, now you're right, but what this is multiplication. This is not the parentheses step because there's nothing to do inside of here. This is the multiplication step. Right? So be careful. Exponents would come before that. So if you had exponents, they would come first. But yeah, you're totally right. We distribute. We get 2x plus 2. The left side did nothing. All right, next. I'll go with... Interesting. Zoe? Why? If we isolate our y, that is describing the behavior of the line. So guys, you might want to make a note here to find the slope. We want to isolate the y. We find slope by isolating y.
On a graph,
Guys, I'm sorry. I don't know why it keeps refocusing.
on a graph, could you technically like name the x and y something different?
Yes, but the x always has to be the independent variable. So your horizontal axis can be whatever you want it to be, but it's the independent variable. The y has to be the thing that depends on the x. So like y would be our height when x is time when I'm tracking my tomatoes, right? Or things like that. I don't track my tomatoes, but you know what I mean? Yeah, I cut mine out last week. So Zoe told us subtract 5 from each side. And I can't subtract 5 from the 2x because that's not a like term, but I can subtract 5 from the 2. So we get y is equal to 2x. What's 2 minus 5? Yeah, -3 because the bad guy wins. So we can either do -3 or -3. Now, if I wanted to write this the other way, I could say 2x plus -3, right? That's also appropriate. Now, how do I know what the slope is, though? Cooper? It is one of the numbers that we're looking at. So when you said, don't we have to find, I don't know what you were going to say after that, but it's here. It's on the paper. We found the y. Like, we isolated the y. Right, Zoe? I think this means Zoe learned better by being out of school for 2 weeks than she learns by being in school. I'm just joking. Zoe's absolutely right. The coefficient of the x is our slope.
Whoa.
So that's another note that we should write. Slope is, now this only counts when y is isolated. So when y is by itself, slope is, you can either say coefficient or you could say multiplier, but that's what coefficient means. And that's a good vocab word to start learning. Slope is the coefficient of x. So here, slope is 2. So this is applying our algebraic skills, right, that we've been practicing to solve equations. So when we have been solving for x and isolating x, now switch your brain. Now we want to isolate y. Any questions on what we just did to isolate the y and find the slope?
Not really, but when do you use this in real life?
Oh, a ton. Like, I'm not joking. In architecture, in design, and dude, even when I built my patio, in landscaping, and like, it's all over the place. Like, I don't have time right now to go into this, and you could use one of your at-home days to like explore where is slope in the real world. But man, it's all over the place. It literally determines whether they have to put a warning sign on a downhill. You're good, man. To like, for truckers, the slope of the downhill determines what warning sign they put up. And if they're going to build an escape ramp, like if you've ever seen those truck ramps, that's an escape ramp. If your truck brakes go out, they know that on a certain slope, you need an escape ramp. Because if you don't, like, and your brakes go out, it's catastrophic, right? So like it's everywhere. Slope is all over the place. Speaking of me being up on the roof, the slope of a roof, if it's not sloped enough, it won't drain the water and you'll end up with water damage. So like stuff even like that. And the slope of the roof that you're allowed to have changes depending on where you live, because the climate zone and the type of weather that you have, there are different climate zones depending on where in America or where in the world you live. Try this one on your own. I could not see the whole thing. I had to scooch it to see the whole thing. Try this one on your own. I put a slightly easier one second because I knew I was going to have you guys do it on your own. Well, depends on how you solve it, if you think this is slightly easier or not. 2x minus 5y equal to 9. So use algebra to push things around and isolate the y. Now I'm going to solve this in two different ways. Guys, don't let yourself be stuck. Just try something. Anyone think you know what the slope is? I will take just the answer now because we're going to talk about the process. Shout out what you think the answer is. Ooh, 2's close. 2's part of it. What is 4/10 as a fraction? It is 2/5. So check it. All right. 2 different ways to solve this. So I'm going to leave this up here for a moment. Now, here's the problem if you thought the slope was 2. You forgot that we have to isolate the y. So, stick with me for a second. Put your pencils down for a moment if this is really confusing so you can just listen while I talk and then write it down. The left side is the quickest way to get y alone. Right? Get rid of anything that isn't part of the y. Okay, so to get rid of 2x, take away 2x. I do it on both sides, and I can't actually do it, quote unquote, so I just write it. Right? I can't subtract 2x from 9, so I just write it out. Then negative 5 is multiplied by y. How do I get to just 1y? Make a giant 1, right? So put negative 5 over negative 5, and I have to do it over here. Here's the part that's like gonna make people make mistakes. That divides by both pieces. So 9 divides by negative 5, but so does negative 2x divides by negative 5. What happens when you have a negative divided by a negative? A positive. So our slope is positive 2/5. That's all that matters, that you were on the right track. We get better as we go. Now this way, question? 0.4 is also correct. Yep. Yeah, 0.4 is also correct. This way on the right side is because I don't like negative anything. I don't like negative attitudes. I don't like negative bank accounts. I don't like negative anything. So I first say, well, negative 5y, I can make it positive if I shove it over to this side by adding 5y on both sides. Leaving my left side with just 2x, he's all alone. And my right side now is 9 plus 5y, because again, I can't actually add it, so I just write it. Now, we know we want to get y by itself, so get rid of that 9. Subtract 9 from both sides. Then we want to get rid of that 5. Divide 5 by both sides. Again, it divides by both pieces. 2 divides by 5, and so does that minus 9 divides by 5. But still, my slope is 2/5, or 0.4. This is in the new batch of homework, and like, I know this stuff gets challenging. We are getting to that point where this is getting pretty challenging, because think about how many steps we have here. We have at least 3 chances to make a mistake. At minimum here, there are 3 spots where I might goof up. This is hard. So be careful, check your work slowly and write things down. That's like my best advice, is work slowly and write things down. That would be the shirt that I would sell. Something like that, like work slowly and write things down.
Okay, I'll accept that. Either that or work smarter, not harder.
Yeah, work smarter, not harder. I like that too.
That's something
Or a shirt that says negative. Like, because somebody, was it not this class? Somebody was like, you say negative really weird. I was like, well, when I'm teaching, I want to like, this is negative 5. And they're like, yeah, no, you say it weird. I emphasize that it's negative.
I appreciate that because my teacher last year was really soft-spoken, and a lot of the times, like,
Yeah,
almost every single person in our class would screw up because they didn't hear her.
that's why I emphasize. Yeah, Sophia?
So
You should do one with the what you did there with the easy, like the E, and then the rest is like blurred out.
Yeah, like this word, like easy is a 4-letter word, but like, you know, have it all like. All right, try this one on your own. A little bit algebra here. I will tell you, this one is a proportional relationship. We'll talk about why in a moment when we get to our answer. Why are you complaining before you even take a moment to start? Your tone was that of a complaint ready to happen.
I was like, what? It doesn't look like that.
I think this one's probably close to as challenging as the last one. I don't know if it's more challenging or less challenging. Yeah. We got to do algebra on both sides. Guys, this one has 4 different ways to start it. Yeah, 4 different ways to start it. Let's talk about why there are 4 different ways.
Yeah, I can see why there's 4 different ways.
I could get rid of negative 3x by adding 3x on both sides. I could get rid of 5y by subtracting 5y on both sides. I could get rid of 2x by subtracting 2x on both sides. I could get rid of positive 3y by subtracting on both sides. But I have a bias. I don't like negatives. I'm sitting like that. Like, I will admit, I am terribly biased when it comes to math. I don't like negatives. So my choice is simple. Get rid of the negative because it's the only negative. So I'm going to add 3x to both sides. Now, please make sure when we're talking both sides, you're looking down the equal sign. I had somebody try to add it there and here when they were doing the work on their own. I said, no, both sides of the equals, right? So that now becomes, well, this is gone. We don't have to write anything for that, so just 5y drops down. Equal to, okay, the x's go together, 5x plus 3y. What should I do now? Just shout it out. Yeah, get the y's together with each other by subtracting 3y. Guys, if algebra is tricky for you, get colors. It really helps to write the in-between steps in a different color. If algebra is tricky for, which is what we're doing algebra. If this is tricky for you, start using some colors.
You can buy like a 5-pack for $5.
These, the Sharpie pens and the Flair pens, come in like ridiculous packs.
I don't have any.
Yeah.
I have Flair pens somewhere.
I like
but I have
these,
some mini Sharpies.
but they write through the paper, and I can't use them to grade when we have two-sided assignments because they go through the paper. Audrey? Holy cow. Yeah. Right, but big. Oh my gosh. Oh man. Sophia, I'll come back to you in just a minute. I just got to finish this problem. What? Good. Tell me what to do.
I divide by 2.
Divide by 2 to get just 1y. Sorry, I thought you wanted to talk about colorful pens also.
No, I was actually reading
I feel like a lot of us have some passion about colorful pens.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
I
like
like
to
to
hear me talk about it.
I don't see my color pack and the color pencil in my pencil pouch.
Oh my gosh.
Although I feel like science, you have to write.
Why? I don't know if you're good. I don't know if we talked about this yet or not, but why did I say, oh yeah, and this is going to be proportional versus the problem that we just did was not proportional. The line that we ended up with or the equation that we ended up with. So this was not proportional, not proportional. This is not proportional, but this is. Why, Zoe? Yeah, when there's an extra number out here, that would make it not proportional. So when they add or subtract anything out here, that makes it not proportional. But when we just have a y relationship with x and there's nothing else, this is proportional. So this is what I kept emphasizing on Monday, where things are going to get harder as we start looking at non-proportional graphs. They are still linear. They're all still straight lines, but they don't go through the 0, 0 point. Yep, synonymous, right?
I'd say that whatever my teacher normally says, that's what I said.
Yeah, but I change what I say. That's the problem there. Depending on the day, depending on my brain, I like math has a lot of synonym words, right? Like words. Well, yeah, absolutely. I love that whole thing. Oh my gosh. Now the problem is those will dry out if you don't use them for a long time.
I'm going to bring my, on Monday, I'm going to bring my pen.
All right, people at home, if I don't know if I'm going to remember to email these videos to people or not, but feel better. If you're sick, don't come back until you're healthy. Email me if you have any questions or anything I can help with. If you are not ready to take the test next week, that is okay. You don't have to. We'll take it when you're ready. Feel better? Yeah. Talk to you later. Have a good day.